I think it's time. Jajanendra, good evening and a very warm welcome to everyone on behalf of the Jito community, Jito Professional Forum, Jito Business Network, Jito Incubation and Innovation Foundation, and Jito Youth Wing. We thank you all for taking out time this Saturday evening and joining us. We've received an overwhelming response to this event. We had over 350 registrations that had come in. We already have close to, I think, 100 odd people who are already logged in, and we expect more to join in very shortly. Because we have an action-packed agenda, it was important that we start on time. Today, we have some very elite CXOs joining us on the panel, and some very senior leaders from energy sector and beyond in the audience as well. So we'll start with the proceedings. We've already offered our prayers and expressed our gratitude. We'll now move on to the next thing. We want to thank our sponsors for this event and Jito Professional Forum. We're very thankful for them for all the support and the guidance that they provide. Mansi, please.
Our mighty sun, the giver of light with infinite number of rays, the giver of nourishment, and one who is responsible for life. Drawing inspiration from the mighty sun, we at Waaree Energies Limited are committed to providing quality, cost-effective, sustainable energy solutions to improve the quality of life. We are one of the major players in the solar energy industry in India, focused on PV module manufacturing using both multicrystalline and monocrystalline cell technology. We have a varied portfolio of solar energy products. Our PV modules are sold under the Waaree brand. We also manufacture Merlin flexible panels for sales to Merlin Solar Technologies. We provide rooftop solar solutions for residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional projects across India and possess strong industry experience in O&M services. We currently operate through 3 plants at Surat, Tumb, and Nandigram in Gujarat, India, and are in the process of setting up our 4th manufacturing facility at Chikhli in Gujarat, India, to expand capacities for PV modules and set up facilities for backward integration into solar cell manufacturing. Our manufacturing facilities have garnered national and international accreditations. We have consistently received a Tier 1 PV module manufacturer rating from the Bloomberg New Energy Finance. We have a track record of manufacturing quality and technologically advanced PV modules involving trained and skilled manpower, and our work practices are focused on innovation by an in-house project management team. We are the first and only Indian PV module manufacturing company to have attained accreditation by the National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratories. Apart from direct sales to utilities and enterprises, we also have franchisee sales and franchisee EPC revenue focused on rooftop and MSME customer segments. We have a host of key customers in India, and our global customers are in the United States, Canada, Italy, Turkey, and Vietnam. We believe that it is our experienced senior management team with a committed employee base that has contributed significantly to our consistent track record of financial performance. We intend to continue regular capacity additions and upgrade our manufacturing processes, incorporating new and emerging technologies. We also intend to build up on our franchisee network across India for the rooftop and MSME segments and continue to make significant investments in training, customer support, as well as installation, maintenance, and post-sale related support to our franchisees. Waaree Energies, energizing growth and development.
Thank you. That was Waaree Group, one of the leaders in renewable space and one of the largest vertically integrated energy company in India. And like I said, we are very thankful for all the support that they provided. Hitesh ji is here. We are very thankful to them for all the guidance that he provides from time to time. I'll now invite Prashant ji Jain to talk about and give introduction about Jito, JPF, and also tell us about a little bit on the launch of the JPF Energy Forum. Prashant ji, over to you.
Jai Jinendra, everyone. My pleasure to be with you all. I would like to start talking about some of you are joining Jito discussion for the first time. And therefore, I would like to share my perspective moving on to the next slide about Jito. Jito is a unique organization which is for the community and is with members of the community. It has 14,000 members and it's a very professional organization. This is what impresses me about Jito. There are three core principles in Jito: education, empowerment, and seva. And empowerment is where there is a huge focus on business networks, on providing opportunities for the community. In education, there are several programs to drive and develop education awareness. And the third one is seva. The Jito is a very professional organization. Example I would like to give is today, KPMG, for example, is helping Jito build up its processes around the world. Second, Jito is rapidly expanding globally. So today we have 67 chapters, 9 zones, and 11 international chapters of Jito. Jito holds a position in Limca Book of World Record for a very large corpus and the scale at which this NGO operates. It has about 800 crore, roughly 800 crore balance sheet, 300 crore plus corpus, and 14,000 members. That's the size of this organization. And what impresses me is Jito is unique in the sense this is a community-based NGO that is focusing on education empowerment of the community, but people who have come together are the ones who are driving it. All the members have personally contributed to become a member, either a patron member or a bigger member, by making significant contribution, personal commitment of time, effort to bring the community together and to take this vision forward. So that is the unique feature that really attracts me to Jito. There are several aspects of Jito, and you will see some of them today in action. One is Jito Business Network, which is bringing all the business entrepreneurs together. The Jito Professional Forum, which has taken the lead for today's discussion, I will talk about that in the coming slides a bit more in detail. Jito Angel Network is the next forum that we are going to talk about today, where we are investing into startups. Pooja will share about that going forward a bit more. Apart from that, there are several projects in Jito. Jito Administrative Training Foundation, Shraman Arogyam. These are projects and chapters which are contributing in several dimensions to the community. Getting a bit deeper into what we do in Jito Professional Forum on the next slide. In Jito Professional Forum, we are creating a network of global corporate professionals. We have connected, as we speak, 3,000 global Jain corporate professionals in twin areas. One is the corporate salaried professionals, and the other side is the Jain practicing professionals, like lawyers, advocates, and the doctors, chartered accountants, architects, etc. So on the corporate salaried professional, there are certain flagship programs, but this is about bringing that entire community of experts together for personal and professional development and growth. The mission is to build a platform to engage with 100,000 plus global Jain professionals eventually, and help and support each other and create a conducive environment for development of all. Moving on to the next slide, a bit more on JPF. There are several JPF initiatives. The inaugural seminar was done by the CMD of Amul, and that was a phenomenal success. We have also got Pratik Gandhi in one of the programs. We have a very solid vaccination program done by Jito doctors, where we ran a COVID helpline. We also have the support from service tax consultancy topic, where support in faceless assessment. There is a huge initiative on repository of global Jain doctors, where we are connecting the entire global doctor community with several objectives like research, R&D, medical tourism, and so on and so forth. There is additional initiatives like iBox, where we are putting certain modules, and those modules are available on short 5-15-minute video with certain learnings and trainings. There is this mentorship program, which is the flagship program today, where we have conducted more than 100 mentee sessions. This is very focused mentor-mentee session, where we are providing about 50 plus today global corporate accomplished professionals and roughly 350 and rapidly expanding mentee base. And there is a demand already. We have concluded about 150 plus sessions on mentor-mentee, and there is already a demand of 700 plus sessions in this Mentornity platform that we have done. This is a unique platform where we are bringing in all the global accomplished professionals to become mentors, and all Jain professionals who would like to be menteed and connect with either group mentoring or individual mentoring. And this is a phenomenal success. We have a session tomorrow in a Level Up series, and you will see the power of the Jain community and how we are developing and supporting each other in this program. So please do connect, and we will share how to connect later on in the program. In the chat box, we will provide the link. So that is all I wanted to share for now, and hand over to you, Amol, for the discussion.
Prashantji, would you like to add a little bit about how this idea of Energy Forum was born? This forum is your brainchild. Can you tell us a little more about that as well?
Yeah, thank you, Amol. Today we have, thanks for that, Amol. The JPF Energy Roundtable is our first attempt today. When I look at the Jito Professional, the forum, our General Secretary, Mr. Hitesh Bhai Doshi, comes from Wari Solar. He's the chairman. He's the largest manufacturer in the country today, which is a huge thing. In India today, he's the top capacity manufacturer in solar. He is with us. I come personally from the energy background. I've spent about the last decade in management positions in oil and gas, renewable energy. Currently, I'm the managing director of GE Power. We have Sunil Ji, Kumod Ji. And when we look about, we have found 350 plus global Jain professionals in very senior positions. This sector has tremendous investment opportunities. And I happen to meet Amol. He is also an energy utility expert who was in the US. He has come back and is currently in Pune. And he's also dedicated his career towards energy, to say, hey, why not we connect all the Jain professionals in energy there is tremendous opportunity. Can we unleash that opportunity in Jito and bring this as a platform? So that was the idea with which we brought this forum together. This is our first attempt, and we would like to continue this and create that connect going forward as a CXO roundtable to connect the senior level personnel, but to provide opportunities to the entrepreneurs, to the prospective employees, and to the startups and the investment community, which is all the ecosystem of Jito. You will see more about that as we go forward, but I'm really excited to connect, especially with the panelists and to several CXOs who have been kind enough to join this forum for today. Thank you, Amol. Over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Prashantji, for that overview about Jito, JPF, and how JPF is actually formed and what we intend to do forward. I would now like to move on with the conversation today. The way we have the lineup is we'll now have a panel discussion, followed by we have a few senior folks who would be expressing their views about what they are doing in some of the interesting areas, followed by Pooja ji, who would be talking about the Jito Incubation and Innovation Foundation and the energy related startups that they are funded and the ones that they are supporting, and we'll take Q&A after that. For the audience, we will request you to start posting questions right now. We'll start looking at them, and we will take them after the GIF session, session happens. So with that, I would like to kick off the energy conversation. I think we all know that energy is linked to economic prosperity, to social progress, and also to personal well-being. And the role of energy sector and the well-being of the society can't be overstated without what energy sector has done and the kind of value that it has created for last 150 years, where it's almost been the engine of economy, power, politics, and today even mobility, right? As a person who lives, breathes this industry for a decade and a half, I've seen at least 3 cycles of headwinds and tailwinds in this industry. And I believe that the time to take center stage has arrived. I also think that it will be once in a lifetime or once in a generation opportunity, which if we may not fully see now or act now or participate now in the beginning of transition, we may be missing out on that. If I have to just conclude, I have to say this industry can be described, or what is happening in this industry can be described by 5 Ds, which is democratization, decarbonization, decentralization, digitization, and deregulation. I think this is what is going to drive this industry. With that, I would like to introduce the panel today. We have a very diverse and distinguished panel, each of whom have had significant impact in the areas that they are working, and they have a very unique perspective, which can help us better understand the modern day energy industry and how professionals and entrepreneurs can make the best out of it. The idea today is to give a glimpse of what is in it for budding professionals, professionals who are established, professionals who are mid-stage. There are businesses that we can't even think about will have the opportunity to participate in it. And because of the way this sector is evolving, the kind of opportunities it is going to create for entrepreneurs, and if professionals look at the right way, it's going to create immense opportunities for them as well. With that, I would like to introduce our panel, beginning with Hiteshji Doshi. He needs no introduction. His rise from what he did in 1989 from rupees 5,000 rupee loan to a $500 million company, which is almost like a $500 million, is a story on which a movie can be made, and it can inspire a generation of entrepreneurs. He's the chairman and managing director of Wari Group. He's been there for about 32 years and counting. starting from the hardware PCI trading business, moving on to manufacturing of them, manufacturing of gas station equipments, industrial valves. But in 2007, his vision and his strategic leadership were instrumental in forming what we call as Vari Energies, and thereby foraying into renewable energy and putting India on the world map in solar. Today, Vari Energies is India's largest vertically integrated solar energy company with 5 gigawatt of portfolio. Hitesh ji is also well known and is a big proponent of education. He's an active philanthropist, and he's the guiding force behind JPF. Hitesh ji, a very warm welcome, and thank you for making time for being on the panel today. I'll then introduce Prashant ji. Prashant ji is a professional with over 28 years of experience. He's a young and dynamic leader. He's currently the MD, member of the board at GE Power India, with an added responsibility of regional general manager for GE Steam Power South Asia. Before joining GE, he has spent 17 years at Siemens in various leadership roles. And just before joining GE, he was the CEO of power generation business for more than 5 years. He's been leading businesses, and before that he was with Schneider Electric. Over the career, he has spent a lot of time spearheading and developing strategies for energy sector. He has held management position across business verticals like oil and gas, power, renewable, and industrial sector. His diverse experience in energy sector and working in multiple countries has made him a trusted advisor on energy transition, and he is actively invited to various trade bodies and forums. He's very passionate about removing energy poverty and making power generation affordable, sustainable, and reliable. He was recently invited in the Parliament of Global Religion to talk about spirituality and its positive impact on professional. He's also well known for his contribution for social causes and passion for mentoring next generation leaders and budding professionals. A very warm welcome to you, Prashant ji.
Thank you.
Next we have is Sunil ji Jain, a very well-known public figure, a professional whose career spans across 4 decades, a diverse experience in energy sector. He's currently the chairman of Energy Council and the vice president of Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. He's also the partner for energy transition at SR Capital, where he's focusing on next generation renewable biofuel strategies. He's also the president of Wind Energy Independent Power Producers Association. In the past, he was responsible for creating Green Infra Limited, which was a private equity venture of IDFC, and leading into a renewable IPP, which was later acquired by Sembcorp, a Singapore-based energy company. Until recently, he was also the CEO of another regional renewable energy company called Hero Future Energies. Hero Group is a well-known name. It was created in 2012, and he was a person behind scaling it from 0 to a 2 gigawatt portfolio and having marquee investors like IFC and Masdar on board. He's also worked with Niti Aayog. He's represented India and presented his views at COP21, and he's closely associated with private equity. He's an investor and an advisor to multiple startups. Sunil ji, a very warm welcome. We're glad to have you on the panel. Next, we have Kumod Kumarji Jain, also fondly known as KK Jain. He's joining us from Toronto, Canada. Currently, the president of a technology startup, Algo8.ai. With a professional career of about 39 years, before joining the tech startup, he was the executive director at the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, where he was helping framing policies for refinery industries. He was a nodal agent for promoting, next generation biofuel, green hydrogen, and promoting R&D activities in the downstream refinery industry, and very specifically focused on development of indigenous technologies and its commercialization across the world. Before that, he was with IOCL for about 36 years before retiring as an executive director, where he was the head of refinery business and a big proponent of transforming and getting IOCL for energy transition. He was the person also instrumental in helping IOCL expand into petrochemicals business, green hydrogen, and what we know as carbon capture and utilization and storage. KKG, we are glad to have you on the panel today. A very warm welcome. With that, I would like to give the panel an opportunity to give almost like a 50,000 feet view of the changes that they have seen in the energy sector, certain inflection points that they have seen during the career, which were catalyst in things that happened, the good things that happened, and also a little bit about what is it that they're focusing on right now, what is it that keeps them excited, what is it that keeps them awake at night, and a little bit about what's in it for the sector in future. Hiteshji, I would like you to start and share your thoughts on it.
Jai Jinendra and pranam to all. And thank you for giving the opportunity to share our thoughts and inviting us. As we all know that there is a big transition in the industry is going on. We are hearing every day ESG, clean energy, sustainable energy, and many other things, probably almost twice or thrice in the news. So exactly what is this going on? In my opinion, the energy consumption is going up. As far as India is concerned, we know that we are not even at the world's average energy consumption per capita. So that is going up. But the second thing is, if 70-80% energy today we are getting from the coal or other sources, that is going to change. And what that means? That means that there is a huge business opportunity. And if the Jains and Jitos or Vinayas are not there, I think we are missing somewhere. And that is exactly what Jito Professional Forum has captured, and Prashantji has taken the lead. When we are saying $100 billion opportunity every year, and this is the opportunity we should not miss. So today, we think that there is an opportunity for everyone. Like Prashantji said, it is for the job or any industry you are in. I think there is an opportunity. You can connect to the energy or solar business and come in this line and see what are the possibilities for you. There is a slide on the screen, so let me take that before I go on another subject. A solar module in India that is going to be close to a 50,000 megawatt capacity. So we do not have the 5 gigawatt portfolio. We have the module manufacturing capacity of the 5,000 megawatt. So when we produce these modules, what we will need? We'll need a solar glass, EVA, backsheet, junction box, ribbon, and sealant. And if somebody makes the solar glass, what he will need? Of course, he will need his raw material and his machineries, the people in that industry, as well as the many other materials. So any product, again, the person who will make a soda ash for the soda glass, the opportunity will be there. So like that, only when we talk about the solar, this is a possibilities and opportunities there if somebody wants to come in manufacturing. Someone wants to come in a services, that it is a maintenance service or it is financial services. Sunil ji will explain more in details. So services are possible a lot on the manufacturing side, even from the transport to the supplying the manpower. Same when we go to the batteries. Again, in the batteries, there are a huge list of the components and services and which are required in the next 2 to 3 years, at least 10 times than what we are using today. So today, to all the Jito members, I would like to say again that this is a golden opportunity, and next at least 10 years, it may be hydrogen or it may be something else, which is a lot of developments we are hearing every day. This opportunity is there, and we all should join in this and earn more and serve more to the Jain community. So thank you again. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Hitesh. Hitesh, do we want to cover the other things that are there in the slide, or do we want to come?
No, I think we can go ahead and answer more questions. And
got it.
these are again the numbers are captured. What is the size of the business for the each item it is going to be?
Got it. Got it.
For example,
thank you.
Yeah, and these are the huge numbers. We are talking about only the aluminum consumption is going to be for 38,000 crore rupees. So people who are in the aluminum extrusion industries, they know it, or people who are in the plastic industries, they can see the junction box. So fine, we can go ahead. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, Hitesh ji. I think that was a good overview, and an important thing to take away from that is people shouldn't get bogged down that there are opportunities only who know about the energy sector. These opportunities are going to come from every area. Like you said, there is a huge opportunity for MSMEs to tap into this huge market that is going to be created in the renewable energy sector. So thank you, Hitesh ji, for articulating that. Next, I will invite Sunil ji. Sunil ji, again, you have had a very diverse career. I would like you to take us through what is it that you have seen through your career. Again, what are certain important juncture that you believe were pivotal for the industry, and what are the opportunities that we have at a high level?
Jai Jinendra, Namaskar to all the young and the budding entrepreneurs and the existing entrepreneurs. Firstly, I must thank Jito and the idea behind this. It is amazing. It is something you feel proud about, that we all come together to grow the community, both financially, socially, emotionally, and religiously. So I must thank all of you. We are right now at an inflection point all over the world in the energy sector. India in particular, because millions of people never had access to energy till such time our Prime Minister Modi made that dream possible to provide energy to all. Even then, we are the lowest in per capita consumption. So what I'm trying to convey is that the opportunity for all of us is so huge in the energy sector that it can drive your energy for years to come. You would not need any other energy if you enter into this business and into this sector. As they say, to predict the future, the best way is to create it. And today is the day when all of you who are here, you can create your own futures. Because the opportunity available is so huge that we can't even handle 1/10 of it. So I'll just give you some idea about what the opportunity is available with you. Can we go to the next slide? Can we move to the next slide?
Mansiji?
Yeah, thank you. Can you make it full scale? I think that would be better.
Yes, sir.
So just to tell all of you that today in the renewable sector, and why I'm talking of renewable sector, I'm not talking of energy sector from thermal point of view, oil and gas point of view, because this is the future. We have created a very small segment of it today, and we have got miles to go before we sleep. We are today at 100 gigawatt of renewable energy in the country. And in next 10 years, the target is 500 gigawatt. So we have got a 5x opportunity waiting for us in next 10 years. What does this 5x opportunity mean in terms of the value and in terms of the volume? Just to give you an example, 500 gigawatt from what Mr. Hitesh Joshi is doing comprise of 60% of modules in terms of value. Can we go to the next slide? So the total opportunity size only in solar is 50 to 60 billion dollars. Now, if you divide that by 10 years, it is 5 to 6 billion dollars every year. So we are talking of 35 to 40,000 crores every year. Now, and this opportunity is not in one product, it is in multiple products, whether you want to be a land aggregator, you want to do steel structures, a structure, we talk of 25 metric ton per megawatt. So imagine you've got 62,50,000 metric ton of structures required over next 10 years. That is not the capacity available. What to talk about India, even in the entire Asia. Inverters, this is the electronic part. Cables, it's a booming market today, and we are talking of 30,000 kilometers year-on-year basis. So you have got a manufacturing and supply. Small hardware, this is a typical MSME item. 10,000 crores is only hardware. Transmission lines, fabrication item. So the list can go on. This presentation is available. So this is for the manufacturing people. Then there is a services sector where operation and maintenance. Today, people are talking of 1,20,000 rupees per megawatt O&M cost every year. Now, if you talk about 500 gigawatt, I'm talking of megawatt, which is 1,000 times for a gigawatt, and into 500. That's the kind of O&M opportunity where you will need large quantity of manpower, which again, a manpower supplier from the community can do. So huge opportunity. New technology, drones, artificial intelligence, then virtual platforms, virtual power stations, the new concept of virtual power stations, where I can select with whom I want to buy the power and when I want to buy power. This is a good thing for people who are good in e-commerce, IoT of things. For people who want to be a technology player, this is the place. Consultancy, prefabricated boundaries. It is full of energy. That's all I can say. The manufacturing capacity, manufacturing sector for the renewables, particularly solar, is huge. Now, next, can we go to the next slide? Similarly, for wind, the capacity is around 2 lakh crore, the size of the opportunity, which is 25 to 30 billion dollars. Now, I know that this is a specially technology product, so you may not be able to do hubs and blades and all, which require a lot of capital investment. But again, here, land, steel structures, transmission lines, civil work, substation, all these are a huge opportunity in combination. So can you believe that we've got an opportunity of 6 to 7 lakh crore opportunity in next 10 years? Even if we get a fraction of it, people sitting here get 0.1% of that opportunity. It's a big opportunity. So please embrace an area and look at it, what you need to do. We are here to mentor. I am committing my time that every week I am willing to give 2 to 3 hours to the cause of GITO and GITO Innovation Center for mentoring people who want any support from my side. So the saying goes that the dreams are not what you get when you sleep. Dreams are those which don't let you sleep. So please dream big and don't sleep. We all need energy. Thank you.
Sunilji, that closing statement was very important, especially knowing that you described the opportunity is bigger than the capacity. If we don't dream big, I don't think we can get where we want to. With that, I would like to invite KKG. KKG, you come from a slightly different background from the oil and gas industry. Some people had actually said that, this industry may not exist, but I think they've done well because of leaders like you. And I think in one of the conversations you spoke about how energy, however we derive energy, we will be a player in it, will be a thing that, energy industry will go after, oil and gas industry will go after. We are very keen to hear your thoughts, your views on what you have seen changes across the industry over your career, and then talk us through the opportunities for that you foresee at high level.
Jai Janen, thanks Amol, thanks Jito for giving this opportunity to share my views here. I have passed 40 years in this oil and gas industries, and I remember those days when I joined refining sector in 1981. My seniors told me that utilize this crude oil in a very judicious and in a very, very wise way, because the crude is not going to last more than 30 years. And I remember those days, and I have passed now 40 years, and still the crude is abundantly available in the world. Only thing, the way the crude has been explored and produced, the methodology has changed. We have grown from Middle East dominated crude oil production to now dominated by the Russia and the US, the shale gas, the lighter gas oil, and now we have transited from say oil to gas, and now we are transiting to a different world, which is the renewable energy. I am very excited, particularly to the energy scenario of India, because the India will be the fastest growing country from energy perspective. Right now itself, if we see, the India is the third largest energy consumer in the world, and it will dominate this position in futures to come. If you see the energy scenario of the world vis-a-vis India, the world is moving towards gas in a much faster way than India, because Indians' requirement is quite different than that of the developed countries, because India demand is going to increase by say around 80% from current level to say 2040, and the demand it has to meet through different resources which India is having. And thanks to the new government and thanks to the policymakers who have now emphasized that India should embark and work upon its own strength rather than doing that import business which it used to do in the past, and which has made India dependent, almost 85% dependent on crude oil, roughly 25% dependent on the coal, and around 50% dependent on the gas, which India currently imports, and which puts a huge burden to the Indian economy. So now if India has to grow, if India has to meet its requirement, which is almost double in the next 20 years, it has to see what are the resources it has got. It has got abundant coal, it has got abundant solar energy, solar power, it has got abundant very large coastal line available to it for the wind energy. It has got abundant waste biodegradable material which can be converted into energy. And for that, the Indian government and the policymakers have given a right thrust at where India needs to grow. Considering the demand itself, if we find the oil business is to remain in India, and rather it will grow because the plan is that the current refining capacity, which is around 250 million metric ton per annum, it has to grow to roughly 300 million metric ton per annum by 2025 and around 450 million by 2030. That's the ambitious plan, and the main reason behind that is the petrochemical sector has to boom in India. This is a sunrise industry. India has not seen the kind of growth where the world has seen, and believe me, I am in Toronto now, and the kind of usage of the polymers and the petrochemicals in day-to-day life, right from the housing where I am sitting here, almost 60 to 70% of the furniture, the bathroom fittings, everything is now polymers and plastics. That kind of boom India is yet to see, and believe me, the current per capita consumption of only 12 kg per capita against the world average of around 35, and say the country like US, Canada, and China of around more than 100 kg per capita consumption. So that's the scope lies in the petrochemical industries. Now, if we talk about the energy sector itself, so India is passing through a very, very exciting phase, and all round growth is taking place and the future plans are available. So oil sector growth is available. The next important sector comes is the gas. India has now a very ambitious plan to grow and make gas-based economy. The current, it is 6%, and India aspires to make around 15% gas in its energy scenario. The third and the most important thing is the renewable energy, for which already the Hitesh Bhai and Sunil Saab has talked a lot, but lot still lies there, which I will cover. And another important thing is the energy substitution with the usage of the biofuel, which will make a lot of transition in this area. Another budding area which is going to come, and it is in a very nascent stage, is the green energy, which might take a center stage in the years to come. So if we talk all things like oil, gas, renewable energy, and the green hydrogen, the policies which says renewable energy, we have talked, current 110 gigawatt to 450 gigawatt in the next 10 years to come, and India is almost on that path. And not only India, and in fact the whole world is now moving on that green energy, and solar energy will be the strength of our India, having a good solar intensity in the country. And now the mission itself, one solar ISA mission, one sun, one energy, and one globe itself will make a good contribution, not only within the India, but the neighboring countries, and the whole world can be integrated through the solar energy. Let's talk about the biofuel, which has not been touched so far, and the country aspires to replace the petrol by around 20% through the bioethanol. So considering the current consumption itself of, say, petrol, which is around 28 million metric ton, and with the growth rate of around 6 to 7%, which is expected in next, say, 10 years. So there is a huge demand of the ethanol, which will come in the country. A lot of thrust is already being given through giving a good cost for the price for the bioethanol. And now the lot of the waste food, even the waste food or the 1G ethanol is available, which can be converted into energy. So a lot of scope is available. The government has also planned 12 2G ethanol refinery which are supposed to come, and there is a big incentives of 150 crore per 2G biorefinery, which is available. So this is one area where a good scope is available, and around 5,000 compressed biogas plants are supposed to come in India, which will make equivalent to roughly 15 million metric ton of CVG, which is the target, and forget that also a lot of BGF funds are available which can be utilized. Another good sector which is going to come is the bio ETF. Of course, the cost competitiveness is the requirement, but this will become a compulsion for each country because that will be the mandate is going to come. Another important thing is the green hydrogen. And why it is important? Because of 10% of hydrogen requirement of fertilizer and the refining industries have to be met through the green hydrogen. So, and that mandate is going to come very soon. Believe me, I was part of that when this policy for green hydrogen was being formulated. It is yet to go to the cabinet, and very soon this might become a mandate. Now, so this is the green biofuel. I have talked the green energy. Now let's talk to the refining sector itself, because I have been asked to talk on refining and petrochemical in specific. So if we are increasing the capacity from 250 to say 430 million metric ton, people think that it's only for those energy specific professional to talk, but it creates a lot of scope and the business opportunities for general people also, or for MSME or the medium type of industries, like a lot of fuel transportation happens through the road mode also. So a lot of business is further going to come in the LPG, MS, HSD, and even now the bioethanol and biodiesel. So a lot of trucks requirement, the supply chain management related to bioethanol, biodiesel, and even the waste food and the agri-waste, which will be available, the supply chain and the depot management will come for that. Another thing which the oil industry is aspiring and rather they are starving is the catalyst. The entire catalyst requirement comes from the abroad. A lot of import takes place, and now a thrust is there that can we venture into Make in India of the catalyst business. So in fact, I was part of that committee, and there are a lot of recommendation and incentives are going to come in the catalyst manufacturing industry in India. Another is the spent catalyst management. See, all these catalysts are metal based. So a lot of highly costly metals are available, which needs to be recovered from this catalyst. And it goes for the impregnation. So waste catalyst management, recycling and recovery of the metal is another business which lies. Then the retail outlets business is definitely available for MSHSD, and now the bioethanol, which is going to come very fast and soon likely to come. Another exciting sector is the petrochemical, and though it might not be the part of this energy part, but this will become now the compulsion for the refining industries. They have to venture into petrochemicals, and a lot of petrochemical feed will be available now in future. And the entire petrochemical industries can be divided into say 4 or 5 important parts. One is the polymer, another is the fiber, third can be the rubber sector, and the fourth is the detergent, particularly the LAB kind of thing, and the fifth is the performance plastics. So these are the important sectors or the segments of petrochemical which will create a lot of demand, and the transportation structure and this molding industries are likely to come. So molding industries, then FIBC industries, supply chain management related to this, and the last and not the least is the digitalization, the artificial intelligence utilization in different segments. There was one question I was seeing flagging in the chat box: what is the use of AI ML in the say solar industry and the wind industries? Since I am focused on that, just I would like to answer here itself. There is a, based on the weather condition, you can very well predict the solar power production for the, say, next day or the next week to come, and based on that, the grid utilization and the conventional power production, which needs to be balanced. So there is a lot of AI and ML usage in the renewable energy. So with this, I would like to close my remarks, and I'm open for the panel discussion of the question answers and ready to mentor anybody if he wants to work in the AI ML or in the oil and gas or petrochemical area. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, KKG. I think a very well articulated opportunity that you've said. You spoke very well about the energy mix that is going to change within the oil and gas industry, and how there will be other new industries that will be created coming out of a new line of businesses that will be coming out of, let's say, biofuels and petrochemicals. So the opportunity is huge, and I think it puts to rest a lot of people who are skeptic about the oil and gas industry. With that, I would like to invite Prashantji. Prashantji is in a very unique position today, where he has to balance the goals of energy transition. I will not speak a lot. Prashantji, we would like to hear your perspective on how you have seen this industry and what are the opportunities here.
Thanks, Amol. Energy is the fundamental of economic development. So the measurement of economic development is done by per capita consumption of oil, per capita consumption of electricity. And that shows tremendous potential for energy in India. However, energy sector, which was creating value for the last 100 years and created the industrial wave, is going through several disruptions. If you look at energy sector, this is a huge sector, tremendous amount of opportunities, and again, a big disruption. So if I see the energy used to be for big players in the past, a big company in oil and gas, a big company in producing power, a big utility transmitting the power. So you had big stations or big refineries or big power plants with some big players holding and operating that, and transmitting power or transmitting oil or gas through long distance to the consumers. This is how that industry was running for the last several decades. The big disruption that is happening now is that this industry is moving away from that large central conglomerates with opportunities for several medium and small size industry. I think this is the big disruption that is driving opportunities in this sector. And it is also creating disruption. For example, coal was the major fuel when we started with the first steam engines. Eventually, it became oil and gas. And with the renewable energy coming in, and especially with Tesla, suddenly the cars which were running purely on oil earlier suddenly started moving to electric vehicles. And this created a big disruption. So the energy which was largely driven by fossil fuel burning has suddenly pivoted towards electricity now. And this is creating a lot of opportunities and challenges. Why is all this happening? Because everybody is realizing we cannot afford the pollution anymore. We need to reduce the emissions. We need to become greener. We need to find a greener alternative for our energy future. And that is creating a lot of disruption in oil, on gas, on power as well. And that is creating opportunities. So for example, we had big power plant earlier, 800 megawatt into 5, a 4,000 megawatt power plant. Today, when you see at solar plants, people are putting a small power plant on their roof or on their factory, or they are putting up large 50, 100, 200 gigawatt solar plants as well, 200 megawatt solar plants as well. So that is the size of solar plants now coming in. Similarly, now we see what has also changed is with storage technologies, the renewable small distributed generation, which is happening now with battery, lithium-ion battery availability, the storage technologies are coming in. So what used to be large grid-driven power, in the next 10 years, we will see opportunity for distributed grid. You will see that, there are certain society that they will say, okay, I will produce my own green fuel, or I will produce my own power. So these are going to create a lot of opportunities for power trading, power production and selling, IT and technology for metering, smart metering, net metering, Today, it is a very regulated sector where the government regulates the tariff. But in 3 to 5 years, you will see when the current ministry was, when Mr. Modi was fighting for power, he had said that, you should have the option of taking electricity like SMS, mobile SIM card. You should be able to also change your power. Now, what does that mean? It means that a lot of opportunities will come for small players, medium players in this sector. With ethanol blending, there are biofuel opportunities for medium-sized players. With storage technologies, there are now for the logistics, transportation, charging infrastructure, there are opportunities for small players. So at every sphere now, we are seeing tremendous opportunities opening up. So energy, which was in the last decade a game of big players, in the next decade or so is going through a transformation with opportunities for small players. And I see tremendous scope in the next 10, 20, 30 years of how this sector will be. It will be very different than what you see today. And therefore, huge opportunities for startup, huge opportunities for innovation, business models, and entrepreneurs. So I think it's a very exciting sector to be in, and great amount of opportunities that we will see in this sector. It will come with disruption, but it will also come with opportunities for entrepreneurs and for employees. It is important to reskill, to learn, to train, and make sure that we upgrade to the technologies and see how this integration is going to happen going forward. So it's a tremendous opportunities, and therefore excited to be here. And I'm very happy to connect to all the giant professionals in this sector, learn from each other, share with each other.
Thank you so much, Prashant. I think the disruption that you spoke about very well articulated how that's going to happen. And a great example in the form of Tesla on how a player like Tesla has evolved and nobody saw it coming. And I think an important thing to note is Tesla is not an automobile company. They proud themselves as a energy company or energy transition company. So a great example of new players that are evolving, and we don't even know where these other new players will come from with a mix of technology and physical assets. And then a great description of what lies for the MSMEs. Sunilji, I think you wanted to add something.
Well, I wanted to say, I wanted to echo something more what Prashantji said, and I've been also a big proponent of that energy for future will be costing zero. It will be a technology play through virtual power plants. Like he talked about a small rooftop energy generation plant, but your car itself will be an energy generation plant. And you could sell your battery energy to somebody at the night through the data on your mobile phone. Now that's the technology disruptions which are going to take place. So each one of you, while you're filled of energy, you'll be selling energy also.
That's a very interesting person and a very real perspective, which people might not really be able to foresee, that energy can actually be zero cost, and there will be ancillary things coming out of this sector which will actually be costing people, right? And the unit size would be so small that people might not even recognize that they're spending so much. Okay, perfect. With that, I just want to quickly bring in Preeti ji. Preeti ji comes from a background where she has worked in the biofuel sector, and in fact, she comes from a background where she's working in a company which is funded by initial seed funded by Sir Richard Branson. So Preeti ji, if you're around, we'd like to bring you in as well to get your thoughts, especially around what you are doing. Very interesting work in biofuels, and I think also petrochemicals, if I'm not wrong, alternate fuels, how do we create circular economy, sustainability. Preeti ji, over to you.
Thank you, Amol. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Jai Jinendra, and good evening to everybody. Happy to be here in this forum. I think this is my first time I have been in this forum amidst all of you. And indeed, very interesting views about this growing industry and enthusiasm I can see. Thanks to Prashant Jainji also to bring me in, and Amol also for the discussion before we start sharing more about the industry. I see a lot of familiar faces also. Mr. K.K. Jainji is there, with whom we have been working and whose guidance has been a important tool for us when we are spearheading on the biofuel front in the industry. Before I share my comments on the ethanol and the biofuel industry, I'm just taking a step back. A lot of things KK Jansab have already mentioned. I think as a country, we just need to see two things first. Very rightly, Prashantji said that we are going through a very different energy model in the next decade or 2 decades or centuries to come, from centralized to decentralized model, creating new immense opportunities. Also, many times I hear in this industry, India is going to be on the path like China did 20 years back or 15 years back. But there is one underlying pinning point there, that we cannot be resource intensive the way China was. We had to be more circular. We have to be more efficient, and we have to be at the same time maintain our growth curve. That is very important for us. I have also been a policy professional, though I'm a scientist by training. And on the policy front, I have been seeing one very important change from 2001 when I started and now. India used to be, a follower when it used to come into the energy transition. But now I see India is not a follower. India is a leader, telling what we want to do energy, basket this way, and this is our choice in the next decade to come. So that is an important difference I see in the sector. Coming to more specific on the ethanol and biofuels, I work with LanzaTech. At LanzaTech, we call ourselves as a carbon tech company. And what we do is we are into advanced biofuel ecosystem. Before I share what we do is, it's also important for me to share with the stakeholder that in India in 2001, the ethanol blending policy came in. And that time 5% blending was started. And now India has a very ambitious target of 20% blending by 2025, which means around 1,000 crore liters of ethanol will be required in the country. And please note, our current production is around 4,000 crores liters. And, if we have to meet around 50% in the, next 30 years or so, we don't have that much of production in the country. So it offers an immense opportunity. Not only just immense opportunity for the current ethanol production, which is 1G, 2G, but also 3G and advanced biofuel technologies also, where we are a player. For the benefit of all, when I say 1G, it is basically molasses-based ethanol. When I say 2G, it is cellulosic material which produces ethanol. And when I mention advanced or 3G technologies, basically these technologies create value out of waste. This waste can be your agri residue, this waste can be your municipal solid waste, and this waste can be industrial off gases. Telling you a brief about what our technology and our company do is, our company is funded by a lot of equity investors, which are financial investors as well as institutional investors. We take proud to share that in India, Indian Oil is one of our strategic partner and board member also. And also apart from that, leading who's and who's of the world are our board member and partner with us. Our technology is built on the philosophy of circular economy. So we take any waste material, which is agri residue, municipal solid waste, you gasify that, and our system, which is a biotechnology based system, needs those carbon rich gases as a feedstock. And this gases, by the way, can also come from industries. Industries, many of you work in the industry, so industry also has this industrial off gases. Many times they are used for heating purposes or steam generation. But as we are going to say more and more renewables, these gases will be free. And our system takes that into and produce ethanol. Now, ethanol, one thing is ethanol you can take and you can blend it into fuel ethanol to meet India's energy security and ethanol blending roadmap. But at LanzaTech, we don't stop there. We see this ethanol as a carbon as well as energy carrier. And the petrochemical, which KK Jansa was talking about, we are taking this ethanol, converting that into ethylene, and ethylene to MEG, MEG to PET, PET to polyester, and further products down the line. Around the world, we have partnered with Unilever, we have partnered with Migros, a number of international companies across the world at the, to start this whole process. Initially, for the few batches of ethanol, which has been produced at one of our site in China. We have, by the way, 2 commercial units running in China. So just imagine, the emission which would have gone into the atmosphere. We are taking that, converting that into ethanol and further down the line product. So which is a huge disruption. All the product which we are using today, including this phone, imagine tomorrow this is going to be made out of the waste pollution around us. Exactly going to Sunil Jain's point, we will be also energy user, but we will also be utilizing our waste to produce ethanol. So that is the kind of innovation our company is working with. Just want to take 1 minute more, translating it to the community who is there on this webinar. It means a huge opportunity for the people who are into the entrepreneurship business system. How? India has a national biofuel policy which takes all the feedstock, including the feedstock which our technology can absorb. Second, recently in the last 2-3 months, states also came up with the state level biofuel policy. Under this biofuel policy, the CapEx and OpEx, support is being given to the biofuel projects. Capital subsidy is being given to make sure these projects also run successfully, make profit. Power subsidy is being given. Subsidy on the working capital is being given. Subsidy on the, human and skill development and technological skill is being development. So we need to start looking into those opportunities. They are just next to us. We need to see that. And by the way, this all incentives are in addition to the incentives which are being given by the state level, by the center, the viability gap funding, which Mr. K.K. Jain mentioned. So I see a very promising potential out there, a lot of enthusiasm, not only, as a corporate professional for me driving and, supporting this transition, but I totally believe that we are going to see a new generation of entrepreneurs in this domain, where we don't have to go to, Middle East or anywhere to meet our energy needs. We will be creating urban oil fields, or maybe in the rural sector where agri residue is a problem, and many of us who are in Delhi are complaining about that. So that agri residue can be channelized and can be source of fuel ethanol for us, also helping our decarbonization things. So with these, I stop and look forward for questions, because this is a very long topic and I can go into this. Thank you for this opportunity.
Correct. So, Preeti ji, thank you so much. And I think it's also
maybe I just
an
wanted to
opportunity.
add what I know from Preeti ji is that if any of you are thinking about the 7 states where the government has come in with the new policy of an investment, it is a double-digit $1 million investment to set up an ethanol plant, and that can create a tremendous opportunity for some of you if you potentially would like to invest. So here is an opportunity. I think from this opportunity, Amol, we move to the next one.
So, Preeti ji, the great views from your side. You have your first customer. I think so we have to interact. I'm already setting up a 1000 KL ethanol plant in UP.
Sure, look forward to interact with you. In fact, I was very bit surprised also. Sorry, Amol, taking a moment. We work a lot with US ISPF, but Indo-American chambers, we have not worked much. So look forward to work with you. One very small point, just 20 seconds, I think more. I think one important point at this through JPF and also in energy sector as a whole, having more and more, gender equity is also very important. I wish we have more, women executives in this forum and build a pipeline of those professionals in our own capacity. So that's the humble, request I would like to mention here. That's all.
So maybe we move to the next women power then, Amol.
Correct. And I think that should be taken as an example, Preeti ji, that, people should get inspired by what you are doing, the kind of work that you have done, and take it as an example to, foray into this energy industry. From one woman leader to another one, I would now like to invite Pooja ji. She's the Chief Investment Officer of Jito Incubation and Innovation Foundation. She has a portfolio under which she is incubating entrepreneurs. She is supporting them by funding them. And there is a community of mentors which she also works with, which can come in to help these new age and very young entrepreneurs. Pooja ji, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amol. Jai Jinendra and very good evening to one and all. Firstly, thank you to Prashant ji and the entire GPF team for hosting this unique session. We've heard about a lot of fintech and tech and healthcare sessions, but energy was always been missing, and there's a lot happening in this industry, in this sector, but never highlighted. And it's great to see such dignitaries coming, talking about immense opportunities in this sector that is coming up. So thank you for that. Moving to, for what I have been called here is to introduce all of you all about Jito Incubation and Innovation Foundation. Jito Incubation Innovation Foundation is one of the sister concern of Jito. It's a different company which is actually working towards and looking forward to the opportunities in the startup ecosystems for all the Jain community folks. So this company of Jito is managing two different projects. One is obviously an Incello Jito Incubation Center, which is hosting a crowd of lot of Jain entrepreneurs, trying to bridge a gap between these Jain entrepreneurs on a global level with the folks and who's of the community through JPF, through JBN and other projects in the community under this Jito banner. But JPF has been the main pillar for Cello Jito Incubation Center to support through mentors, to support with the professional services to these Jain entrepreneurs. On the other hand, there's one more project which we are working in is Jito Angel Network. This is a network where we are actually investing in the startups across the globe. We invest in any caste, any community of these startups. Here is where we do not restrict ourselves on the community focus, but our investors are from the community, from the Jito network. So opportunities for investments are not restricted to the community, and they're not restricted to any segment. We invest across the globe at different level. Till now, we've invested in about 55 odd companies, about 108 plus crores of investments done. We've taken 5 exits, and approximately 3.75x exit multiple is what the investors have gotten. Coming specifically to this particular segment, we've invested in energy. We've not heavily invested, we're still exploring a lot of segments, a lot of companies in this, evaluating as well. And we take a lot of help from Prashant ji and the community folks in the industry to understand more. To start off with, 2019, we invested in a company called Blue Smart, which hails from Delhi and works towards a EV ride-hailing, ride-sharing and charging platform for all the EV cars. So Blue Smart is one of our top performer also on the portfolio. They've also raised Series A from BP Ventures, doing partnership with GeoBP and maintaining the entire platform of charging for GeoBP. There's another one is ChargeGrid, which are manufacturing chargers, right from a mobile-based small charger, which used to charge the EV cars, to a big DC and AC chargers. They are also supported at the back with from Shell, from HPCL, through investments, through a lot of business opportunities also. Last and not the least, we've recently invested in a company called Takanal Energy. Takanal Energy is actually the future company. Not every energy industry expert or people working in industry will accept this company very easily. It's a future company. Maybe 10 years down the line is where you will use this particular platform. Everybody wants, every energy, every EV, every manufacturer would like to have their own BMS and asset management platform as of today. But in the near future, obviously this seems to be an outsourced party, where we are currently right now using like an AWS, Google services, cloud service, so various other storage platform. Takanal Energy would be one such platform where you'll be using and storing your energy works. So that will be a platform where you'll be outsourcing a lot of other facts, a lot of other energy services and use as an asset management platform for your energy. So these are the three companies that we've recently invested in, not recently, rather in past 3 years. Coming down to the opportunities, I think if all the experts have already spoken about all the various innovations. Preeti ji, who's already part of an amazing innovation disruption that she's getting in the ecosystem. Sunil ji, KK ji, Prashant ji, and Hitesh ji himself, they've all spoken highly about renewable energy, fossil fuel, and other aspects of energy. So I don't think I am the right person to throw some light on the opportunities there. But yes, being part of the startup ecosystem, managing a network of community and handling the investments of this community, I would really mention that this segment is right now being explored. Lot of things happening in different parts of the places, like Preeti ji is doing. Most of you might be knowing, most of you might not be knowing, but people are exploring biofuels, people are exploring other alternate sources of energy like hydrogen, carbon dioxide. All of these being explored. These opportunities are in place. It is that we have to find out and help these startups to support them, not by fund. Fund is altogether a separate aspect. I think everybody can fund, but mentoring support and a right industry support from the expert is very much important to these folks. Everybody is not expert. Young folks are coming in and entering this industry, but they definitely need support from all these pioneers that are here today. So I really wish and hope that whenever such company comes on our table, we get pioneers like all of folks who are there spoke today and who are already there as a guest speaker or as a attendee here. Do be available, do share your notes with JIF, Jito Angel Network, for us to get in touch with you for these opportunities where you can explore, understand, guide them with the right path, which is very much important. What happens sometimes, people have view, but people don't have the detailed understanding of the entire industry, and only expert like Hitesh ji, Prashant ji, Sunil ji, KK ji, for that matter, even Preeti ji, you can support, and all the other dignitaries who are there. So my earnest request to all of you, do open your arms from the JPF platform to these startups who are looking forward to this platform as a bridge to connect to the right industry, right folk from the expert, and help them to move forward. So thank you so much from my end. Startup is being my area of talking, so I can keep on and on and on without breathing for even a second. So I would, stop here and give an opportunity to other folks and Amol to take it ahead. Thank you so much once again.
You wanted to say something?
No, I'm good. Thank you. As I said, I can keep going on.
Perfect. No, thank you so much, Pooja ji. I think a big shout out to everybody who has a hidden entrepreneur in them. If you have those ambitions, you just spoke to a person, you just heard from a person who can fulfill those ambitions. Before we turn to the questions, I want to go around the table and get a view and double click on two things. One is, what are the opportunities that are available if people have to think, right? Like I said, people are not thinking that there is an opportunity right in front of them, just like the way fish swims in water and it doesn't see water. I think there are opportunities all around us. I would like to go around the table, starting with Hitesh ji. I've heard you have a very unique perspective on how we can leverage the entire value chain across industries, and there is an opportunity for each and every one out there. Hitesh ji, your thoughts on the opportunity from a business perspective and also for professionals?
Thank you. I think Sunil ji has covered it the most, but so let me. The first opportunity is you can reduce your electricity bill, right? The second is whoever wants to expand and his profession, maybe he's a lawyer or he's carbon credit consultant or power consultant or energy management consultant, where we are going to change. This is going to change entirely to the proper energy management and selling the excess energy both, right? And this is going to happen. So probably you name the profession, you name the business directly or indirectly. If somebody is in the hotel business, now he knows that where the solar projects are coming and where the hotels will require to be done, or where the solar manufacturing is going to come and where I should build the residential quarters to the builders. So
Correct.
people who are completely not connected to the solar energy, maybe I will see that there will be hardly 15-20% of the business. Rest all, we can connect them right from the garments to for the workers or to the plants. So you'll say somebody is in a textile business and what he will do in a renewable energy, right? Or somebody is in a chemical business, what he will do. So there is opportunity for everyone. So would like to get from the audience, and probably we will try to answer that more specifically. Thank you.
Thank you, Hitesh. Sunilji, I think you touched upon it briefly. You are looking at things across border. What is your view on it?
Well, one, we know opportunity is huge. Okay, fine. We all know it. I believe beyond the opportunity, one big thing which is available to the community at large is collaboration among ourselves. Let us not look also that individually I can do something in the sector. I believe if people are collaborating across the value chain, there is much more value to be added. And I can give you an example. If there is a small steel player and there is a fastener manufacturer, and if they collaborate together and supply the end product to the likes of Hitesh Doshi ji or to the IPPs like us. So what they have done is they have both created a ready-made market, eliminated a middleman, created margins for both of themselves. In this competitive world, everything matters. And I've given only one example. There will be hundreds of examples in the entire value chain. And let me tell you this, and if you are giving a value-added product to somebody, what Pooja described, there are many investors waiting for that growth opportunity.
Very important, very important. Prashantji, I think you are also in a very unique place, right? I mean, when we look at it, you're in the business of commissioning these large power plants, but you know that business is also transforming. How do you look at these upcoming opportunities, both from entrepreneurs and for professionals?
So I think from professionals, there are several opportunities in this area, especially in the startup space. And in the disruption sector, there are several startups coming into this sector with new and innovative ideas. So there's a good opportunity to reskill, connect with the mentors in this group. There are several people coming in from Azure Power. I see the co-chairman from Sun Edison, Anilji. There are several Jains who are in senior positions here who are willing and offering to the time to mentor and mentee. So that provides the opportunity for all energy professionals to connect to each other, learn from each other, and take a leading position in this transformation. So that's for the professionals, and for the entrepreneurs. I see startup opportunities in the area of battery storage, in the areas of smart metering, in the areas of the charging infrastructure, including the blending of fuel. I see in future green petrol pumps. Today, 10 years ago, people used to fight for a license for a petrol pump. Petrol pump ko license dila do. I see in future we will see different fuel stations with renewable technologies, and those will not be selling the conventional fuels, but they will be providing you a renewable charging infrastructure. So, and that option will be available shortly and very soon. So I see tremendous opportunities here. It's about talking to each other, learning from each other, and making sure we are there as a leading player in this sector as we go forward. So those are my few thoughts on this, Amol.
Perfect. I mean, if I just simply add up what Hitesh ji, Sunil ji, and Prashant ji said, I think if you look at the opportunity, the breadth of opportunity, room for collaboration, and low barriers to entry, right? I mean, everybody can enter. Like Prashant ji said, you don't really need to run behind a license. I think the opportunity is huge. And I think I just want to echo what all the leaders have said. Collaborate. You have opportunities around you. There are no player is big enough for you to take on in this sector. I also want to get KKG's view on, I know KKG, you have made an interesting transition from oil and gas to policy to today a tech startup. Can you quickly give your view on how you see this opportunity for professionals or entrepreneurs?
Thanks. Mostly Prashantji and Sunilji has covered the one area which is untouched, or rather is the requirement. Particularly, I'll focus on two things. One, when I was in CST, Center for High Technology, one entrepreneur came from Kerala that they want to convert the coconut waste into diesel, biodiesel. And they need some BGF, but they can make it. So we found it very interesting project, and yes, it is quite viable, and one can sell now their own biodiesel in the market. That kind of policy is going to come. So yes, so that the entry barrier have come down drastically. Second area in the biofuel area, I would like to touch is people are ready to put up the plant. Okay, whether it is 1G ethanol or 2G ethanol, these are the two mostly viable now. The issue comes in the supply management of the bio waste management and supplying to these industries. This is an untouched area, and in fact, this all 2G ethanol plant, whatever is coming, they are struggling a lot how to manage these feed available them right 365 days, 24/7. So this is one area. It's a means for the small scale kind of thing entrepreneur that can come in a big way and manage the supply chain. This important part, I feel. Another big area is the battery storage, which is likely to come. And one untouched area is the hydrogen management. I know it is I am foreseeing hydrogen as a big business that will come along with the RE, renewable energy. And in all these things, yes, the combined strength of the Jito group and the Jain community, we have all the ingredients like consultants, the entrepreneurs, the investors, everyone is there. We can make it as a great success with the combined synergy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's a question, an interesting one, which is around technology. I think the question is, what is the role of AI/ML in solar industry? I think I want to spin that question for everyone because we all have a very diverse background. I want to understand, Nitesh, you are in the manufacturing business, but you're also seeing the other side of technology, right? How people are actually taking what you produce and applying technology on top of it. How do you see this technology play both in your business and the players around your business?
Earlier, this was, I will tell you, the technology absolution is the biggest risk in manufacturing of this business. So earlier we were saying that it was changing in 2007 to 2009, 3 years, 4 years was the time. And now it has came down to the 2 years. So what we see is that whatever the power price today we are getting from the solar, this in next 5 to 6 years, it will come down. And that will only come down because of the new technologies which are coming in. For the business opportunities, yes, there is a huge opportunity for the startups now to come up and with the new technologies. And the people who are like us putting a large capex on a solar manufacturing, they have to be sure that in 2 years their equipments are going to be the absolute.
All right. Sunilji, what do you think?
Well, for me, it's the 3 T's: technology, technology, and technology. The future is that.
Got it.
So there's a huge potential in artificial intelligence, digitization. I'll give you a small example. In my earlier company, Hero Future Energies, in spite of somebody else getting a funding and taking the credit, but that thing manifested in my company under our ideas. We saw that in US, for spraying water and spraying insecticides on plants, they were using small aircraft. They use the small aircraft because they have got large fields.
Correct.
So we were wondering that, we use sprayers for cleaning modules. And today, drones are being used to transport goods. Why can't we have a water tank under a drone and spray that water on the modules, and a robotic cleaning doing the same for that? And it clicked to us, and we did an implementation of a pilot project, and it worked beautifully. Drones with thermal imaging cameras can detect amongst 500,000 panels in a 500, 600 megawatt plant, which module is bad. And you can, otherwise it is humanly impossible to do it until unless the whole string goes wrong. So technology, and I will get this information sitting in my home on my mobile app. That's the beauty. So I believe it's all about, and that's why I say virtual power plants. I park my car in my garage and I tell that, okay, my battery, I've got, what happens is that an electrical car only can consume 20 to 25% of a battery storage. After that, the battery may have energy, but car cannot use it. Or maybe now with new technology, 35%. That's 65% battery, out of which 45 can be used to a virtual power plant and give the energy to somebody else. That's only possible through technology, nothing else. It's not physically possible.
Correctly said.
What is smart meter? It's all about technology.
Correct. Correct. Prashantji, GE has an entire division carved out for what we call as digital. And they are at the forefront of whatever is happening in this industry. How do you view this?
So I think the future, the disruption that we see happening will happen via digital. And if we look at today, the way we are buying data, electricity trading is not too far away. It's a matter of the Electricity Regulations Act, which will be tabled in the Parliament, and eventually the deregulation of the power purchase agreements. And in 5 to 10 years from now, buying and selling of power will happen via the mobile phone. And this technology via mobile, via television, via other devices that you have in the house, this is going to happen. And that is going to be the transition of future. This was not possible in the past. But today in the future, with distributed generation, distributed grids, people will be buying and selling and become prosumers. And this transformation is likely to happen. So there are several questions in the chat box, and we are coming close to the time, Amol. It's already 8:40 p.m. now. So maybe we want to very quickly review the chat box and probably wrap the discussions. We are 8:40 now. The topic is very exciting, but at the same time, I guess.
The time, yes. Correct. Correct. So I'll just take a few questions, and for all the audiences, there is a link that has been given for the Jito, the energy group. You can join that group. It will be a closed group. The other thing is, once you are enrolled, you will keep knowing more about the future programs that we will be doing. What we'll do is we'll take these questions. We might not be able to answer all the questions. We'll take a few questions and we'll take them back to the panel and try to get the answers for those. I see there are a few questions around the presentations as well. We'll talk to the panelists. We'll get their thoughts. If there is nothing confidential, we'll be happy to share that with them. I just saw a question coming up, and I think was posted earlier as well, around carbon credits. I'm not an expert on carbon credits, so I think the question is, is there a room for carbon credits in India? I think a question to the panelists.
I think I can take that if okay.
Please
Yeah.
go ahead.
I think that's a very good question indeed. And in the policy forums and in the policy corridors, carbon credits for green projects is very much talked about. What we have been seeing in this space is, as of now, there is no formal policy around carbon credits, but definitely the way it has been implemented in US and it has been implemented in Europe, I would say more predominantly, there are certain, these carbon credits can be traded. So the party who is investing in the renewable projects ultimately getting value out of this carbon credits. Within US, I see only in California, these carbon credits are very much in place and for a long time. Not just carbon credits, but also looking into carbon intensity of various technologies or various fuels. That is also being looked about. I think from an Indian policy point of view and India, technology space point of view, this is a ask from various stakeholders. And once it comes in, it will allow new technologies and green technology acceleration, deployment very fast. So that is something I can add. And if there is a specific sector you're looking for, I think we can definitely collect later on, and I can direct you to the direction where you can find more details. Thank you.
I can add something here because being part of CST, yes, we have handled it. In India, there is a concept of PAT, perform, achieve, and trade. And this is now being regulated by BEE, and it is now applicable to all large-scale industries, particularly refinery, petrochemicals, then fertilizers, and all. In fact, all the major industries now are covered. So if you are improving your energy efficiency, and by way of that, if you are able to tell that, yes, I have reduced that much carbon dioxide emission, you get a credit. In terms of the e-certs, those are available and those are being traded through IEX platform. And yes, the trading has been started in India. Slowly it will get momentum. And if you are improving your energy efficiency, you will get the carbon credits. Thank you.
And something encouraging coming from a few people in the forum also, they have experience in, I think Binduji has said they have experience in cornstarch, and ethanol manufacturing. So there's some encouragement coming from there. I think this will be the last question we will take from the Q&A that we see. A very long question, but I'll just take a part of it. I think do we see the possibility of renewable energy taking over traditional energy? I think, and what we're talking about is around the clock energy in the country. If yes, how much time will it take? Do we see any risk associated with it? I think that's what I can summarize. So Hiteshji, I think this is the most relevant question to you.
I think this question is answered by our Prime Minister, that is at 2050, 2070, some countries at 2030. What it means, that entire the energy, they will become a net zero, so no carbon. And yes, it is possible. At many places in Australia as well as California now, there are the houses, they are not using any grid power. And this is going to be on a community and the city level. And we are seeing the news also. So absolutely it is going to happen that we will be on 100% renewable energies. The question is the time, depends on the government support and economy country to country. Our Honorable Prime Minister has already given us the time to all of us, and I think we will achieve that. Thank you.
Sunilji, your thoughts? I know you have spoken publicly about round the clock energy.
So the around the clock power, I believe that the future is renewables. The future is green. We don't have to debate or think also on that. It's only question, as Hitesh Bhai said, by when. Round the clock power in today's context is that, okay, you're supplying 70% of the power, which may be intermittent, not firm. I am backing myself that by 2025-26, we'll be providing firm green power round the clock 24/7 with the combination and collaboration of different technologies, which could be combining with biofuel energy, which could be combining with battery storage, which could be combining with pump storage. It could be a combination of energies, but it is going to be there. I may be wrong by a year or so, but generally, whatever I've predicted, I've been proven wrong. It has always happened earlier. So, and please never underestimate the innovation in human beings. Things will happen faster. And let me tell you this, the next innovation is going to be in the reduction of size. It's going to be micro. As Hitesh Bhai is making modules today, I strongly believe the module size will become smaller in years to come, more efficient, and therefore things are going to change dramatically. And I wish all the budding entrepreneurs and everybody a great success. Always available, very happy to work with the community and others.
I was surprised to see a Vari Group panel, the solar cell, which was like paper thin. I couldn't believe my eyes that it can be that thin. I mean, that's the kind of advancements that we have made. I think we have overshot the time that we had carved out for ourselves. It's been a very interesting discussion. I think if we would have started in the morning, we would have probably had our breakfast, lunch, and dinner talking about it. And if I have to just sum it up, and then just echoing what they said, the exact pace and the path of the energy transition, it is somewhat known. The end destination is known. It is just that it is just matter of time. It is no longer a doubt, or nobody should have a doubt that it is not possible. And like Paulo Coelho said, or as most people believe, Shah Rukh Khan said in Om Shanti Om, right? And just contextualizing it, that if we are ambitious and if we have ambitious goals, ambitious goals have a way of becoming self-fulfilling prophecies, because they also create an influencing effect, and they send out a powerful signal to everybody around us, the society, the employees, your partner, the regulators, the policymakers. And once everybody starts believing in it, they become real goals. And I think the momentum now is shifting towards these ambitious goals that we have against climate change. And I think for all of us who are hearing this, the time to act is now. With that, I would like to invite Harshita ji Jain from Jito Youth Wing for the vote of thanks and closing remarks. Harshita ji.
Thank you, Amolji. Good evening, everyone, and Jai Jinendra. It is my privilege to be here and, given a chance to offer a vote of thanks for this inspiring webinar. Firstly, I would like to thank our distinguished speakers, Mr. Hitesh Doshi, Mr. Prashant Jain, Mr. Sunil Jain, and Mr. KK Jain, and also Ms. Preeti Jain for taking out their time from their busy schedules to grace this event and be a part of this energy roundtable. The initiatives that have been taken by our esteemed speakers in the energy sector stand to fundamentally change the energy sectors in the decades to come. A big thank you to all of you for sharing your words of wisdom from your immense knowledge. I'm sure that the knowledge imparted will be instrumental in identifying opportunities to harness the 100 billion opportunities in the energy sector and insights on how to meet the growing energy demand in the coming future. There has been a lot of interest in getting into the energy sector and the associated infrastructure. And one of the most crucial elements of this roundtable has been to identify that these opportunities and plant these big ideas in the minds of the audience. Next, I would like to thank Amolji for moderating this webinar with such excellence. Lastly, I would like to thank Jito Youth Wing, Jito Professional Forum, Jito Business Network, and Jito Incubation and Innovation Foundation for conducting this webinar and conceiving this energy roundtable and creating a revolution that is necessary to transform the way the world looks at this energy sector. Finally, I would like to thank the audience for joining us for this webinar and making it a big, big success. Thank you everyone once again.
Thank you so much, Arshida ji. With that, we've come to the close of today's energy roundtable. I saw there were some leaders from the Jito fraternity in the audience as well. I'll request them to stay back for a few minutes for a backstage, virtual networking for a few minutes. For everybody else who joined in, thank you once again for joining us. You will hear from us very soon. Do join the LinkedIn group. And there was a jot form that was just circulated. Please fill that out so that you can keep receiving email notifications as well. Thank you once again, and Jai Jinendra to everyone.
May I request if you can invite also Vineet Jaini, who happens to be Jain, but he's added a A to his name. He's the CEO for Adani Green Renewables.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
प्रशांत जैन JSW में भी आप कह सकते हैं।
हाँ, विनीत जैन से मेरी बात हुई थी from Adani.